Welcome to Writing Linear Equations. For this section, we will be using the following forms of linear equations. Y equals mx plus b is the form that we are very familiar with. It's called the slope-intercept form, where b is our y-intercept and m is our slope. So as long as you know b, the y-intercept, and m, the slope, you are able to write a linear equation in slope-intercept form. The second form, ax plus by equals c, is not familiar to you. This form is called standard form. In this form, a, b, and c will be numbers, and these numbers have very specific requirements. They cannot be decimals or fractions. In addition to this, a is often requested to be positive. Now, some questions will be okay with your a being negative, but to be on the safe side, I would keep a positive. All questions in this section will ask you to give your final answer either in slope-intercept form or in standard form. The next few examples will all ask you to write the equation in slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. Keep in mind that if a question provides you with b and m, you're ready to write, you simply replace m with the number and b with the number. My first example does provide you with the slope. Slope is 3. So I know that in place of m in my equation, I will have a 3. Now, b is not provided. Oftentimes, students mistake the 25, which is the y-coordinate of this point that's given, for b. However, for that 25 to be your b, the point needs to be 0, 25, because remember, b is the y-intercept. If the point has the x-coordinate that is not a 0, ours is not, it's a 7, then 25 is not your b. It's just the y of some random point on the line. To write the equation in slope-intercept form, we are not ready just yet. We have to use a different form and then rearrange it to make it look like y equals mx plus b. So the form that we will use is the one we're familiar with. It's the point slope form. In this form, I will be replacing m with the given 3, that is my slope. x1 will become a 7, and then y1 will become a 25, and those numbers come from the point right here. So here is the equation, y minus 25 equals 3x minus 7. You would be done if you were asked for point slope. You were not. You were asked for slope-intercept, so I will first distribute the 3. That gives me y minus 25 equals 3x minus 21. And then I will go ahead and add the 25 so that my y is by itself, because in slope-intercept form right here, y is by itself. So once your 25 goes to the right, you are left with y equals 3x plus 4, and now you're done. The next question will still ask you to write in slope-intercept form, but it will give you different information. Here is the question. So this question does not provide you with the slope. It gives you two different points that are on the line. Neither one of the points is your b, so we are not ready to even use y minus y1 equals m x minus x1, because while we do have the x1, which is your negative 2, and your y1, which is this 4, you do not have the slope m. Now we can find the slope m using our slope formula, so I will do that first, and after I'm done finding the slope, I will plug the numbers back into the point slope form. So here we go. y2 is the y of the second point, and that is -1. The formula tells me to minus, so I'm going to repeat the minus, and then y1 is the y of the first point, which is the 4. All over, x2 is the x of the second point, that's 2. Formula tells me to minus, so I'm going to minus, and then x1 is the x of the first point, which is -2, and it has its own negative, hence double the negative. On the top, you have -1 minus 4, which is -5. On the bottom, you have 2 plus 2, which is a 4. This fraction cannot be simplified, so you leave it as is, -5/4. Now that we have the slope and we have a point, we will go ahead and plug the numbers back into the point slope form. So y minus my y1, which is 4, equals m, we just found that, -5/4, and then inside of the parentheses, x minus my x1, which is -2. Again, do not lose the second negative. So of course, these two negatives will make you a plus. Y minus 4 equals -4/5x plus 2. Okay, my question still wants the form to look like this. So I will go ahead and distribute. Now, from here, you technically have to go ahead and take this -4 and add it here, but that will require you to work on fractions, and adding fractions or subtracting fractions will require you to have the common denominator. So instead of adding the 4 right away, I will remove the fractions. So all fractions that are present in this equation have a 4 as their denominator, so I will go ahead and multiply every single part by 4, including things that are not fractions. So times 4 throughout. Again, the reason for that is so these 4's on the right cancel and you have eliminated the fractions. So we got 4y minus 16 equals -5x minus 10. Remember, I'm solving for y. I want y by itself because in y equals mx plus b, y is by itself. So I will now add the 16. That leaves me with 4y equals -5x plus 6. And now I will divide every term by 4 so that next to the y you have nothing. And here is your final answer. Y equals -5x/4 plus, and then this fraction can be simplified to 3/2. So this next question still wants y equals mx plus b at the end and gives you the following information. Your line passes through 2 points, 5, 3, that is your x1 and y1, and the origin. So don't let the word confuse you. Origin is just a point with coordinates 0, 0, and that is your x2 and y2. So let's go ahead and find the slope. So the slope m is y2 minus y1, so that's 0 minus 3, over x2 minus x1, that gives you -3/-5, and it becomes positive even though it cannot be simplified. So 3/5 goes here in place of m. Now you're welcome to use y minus y1 equals mx minus x1, our point slope formula, but you don't have to, because the second point that's given to you has the x coordinate of 0, which means the y coordinate of it, this right here, is your b. It's the y-intercept. So the y-intercept is 0, which means 0 will be plugged in place of the b. And here's your final answer. You do not have to write +0. You can absolutely leave it as 3/5 x. So a similar question, again, given 2 points, we still want y equals mx plus b. So let's go ahead and find the m using our slope formula. Keep in mind this is your x1, y1, x2, and y2. So on the top you have -3 minus -3. On the bottom is 2 minus -2. So both of the double negatives here and here will turn into pluses. -3 plus 3 over 2 plus 2. So that is 0 over 4, which is 0. Now the slope is 0. If you reference one of my previous recordings, if the slope is 0, the line is horizontal. A horizontal line that passes through these 2 points is going to look like this. To write the equation for this horizontal line, you simply have to know where it hits the y-axis. It hits at -3, so the equation will be y equals -3. Here's the final one that asks you for y equals mx plus b form. Let's go ahead and find the slope. That's 6 minus 5 over 2 minus 2, so that's 1 over 0. If you put this on a calculator, it will give you an error message. You cannot divide by 0, so the slope is actually undefined, which means the line is vertical. You can quickly sketch the graph of a vertical line that passes through the 2 given points, 2, 5 and 2, 6. And to write the equation, all you have to do is know where that line hits the x-axis. That would be at this +2, so the equation of this line is x equals +2. So here's the next question. The next few will ask for standard form, which is ax plus by equals c. I wrote the conditions here again. A, b, and c cannot be fractions, they cannot be decimals, and a should be positive. So the first problem actually gives you the equation, but it is not in standard form. It's in y equals mx plus b form. We have to rearrange it so that it looks like the standard form. Well, analyzing the standard form, you should be able to see that in that form, whatever has an x and whatever has a y are on the same side, on the left, and then after the equal sign, you have something that does not have an x or a y. In this equation, that something is -11 over 6, and that will be your c for the time being. We will keep it on the right. With that, 1 over 6x needs to come here. 1 over 6x was positive on the right, so I'm going to make it negative on the left. So you already had a y on the left side. You also now have a -1 over 6x because we moved it. Then your equal sign, and then your -11 over 6. Now, in this problem, your y appears first and your x appears second. In standard form, x shows up first and y shows up second. So my next move would be to switch them places. You don't have to change any signs. You will not be moving from side to side. All you have to do is write -1 over 6x first and +y second. So all I did was reverse the order here, and then your equals -11 over 6. Now we go to the condition that a, b, and c cannot be fractions or decimals. Some of our numbers are fractions, so I'm going to remove those fractions by multiplying every term, including the y that is not a fraction, by that 6. 6 is cancelled where you had fractions, and you're left with -1x plus 6y equals -11. And last condition is for that a to be positive, and it's currently negative. As a reminder, a is the number next to the x. Our a is a -1. To make that -1 into a +1, I'm going to go ahead and multiply every term by a -1. So that results in positive 1x, negative 6y, and positive 11, and that's your standard form.